After Nvidia cancelled or so-called recalled the launch of its confusing RTX 4080 12GB GPU, many speculated that the company would rebrand the card to the 4070 Ti. The brand will likely never confirm the reports, but now we have a whole new 40 series card on the market that boasts the same spec as the cancelled RTX 4080. But Nvidia isn't calling this the 4080, and it makes sense as to why. It is just confusing to have two GPUs with the same series name on the market, and separating the lineup into different tiers makes a lot more sense. Why change what worked for the past few decades anyway? The RTX 4070 Ti sits in a weird spot when you compare it to the rest of the lineup. It obviously isn't as powerful as the RTX 4090 and the 4080, but it is 40% faster than the 3070. In fact, the closest competition for this card would be the RTX 3090 Ti, as it performs pretty much the same here. However, it does come with some advantages over the 3090 Ti, including DLSS3, which I've tested in the past during my 4080 review, and I deemed it a revolutionary step for PC gaming. For the most part, the RTX 4070 Ti is the best value for money 40 series card you can get. You're getting all the bells and whistles of a 40 series GPU without the heavy price tag of over $1,000. It is also incredibly versatile, as Nvidia wants it to be the 1440p 120Hz card. Of course, you can do whatever you want with this power and easily get away with 4K 60Hz with ray tracing enabled. Once you dive into DLSS3, the sky's the limit too. The RTX 4070 Ti is powered by 7680 CUDA cores, has 40 shader teraflops, 93 ray tracing teraflops, and 641 tensor flops. It packs 12GB of GDDR6X memory too. This model I'm testing is the Gigabyte RTX 4070 Ti gaming OC GPU, meaning it comes slightly overclocked out of the box. The base 4070 Ti includes a boost clock of 2610 MHz, but this Gigabyte OC model packs a slightly higher clock at 2640 MHz. The overall design of this Gigabyte RTX 4070 Ti gaming OC GPU isn't very different from Gigabyte's other 40 series cards on the market. In fact, it is only ever so slightly slimmer than the RTX 4080 and the 4090. The card packs 3 large fans on the top with RGB rings around them. It also comes with 3 DisplayPort 1.4a ports and 1 HDMI 2.1 port. These slightly shrunken dimensions made a world of difference when installing the card in my case. The lower power supply requirement of 700 watts also means that instead of the 4 4-pin connectors on the 4090 and the 3 4-pin connectors on the 4080, this card only uses 2. It leaves more room for cable management, and most importantly, I could close my PC case door too. With that being said, I kinda do feel like Nvidia could have dropped its proprietary 12-pin connector for this card completely, given that it's basically doing the same thing as the PCIe cables already. But thankfully, the 4070 Ti is the first 40 series card to actually fit snugly in my Cooler Master Cosmos C700 case with the door closed. Installation of the 4070 Ti isn't very different from the other 40 series cards I've tested. I already had the motherboard bracket installed from the other 40 series cards I reviewed, so I simply installed the mount onto the GPU and screwed it onto the motherboard. Nvidia's focus for the 4070 Ti is across a range of pillars. They want you to know that this GPU is much more power efficient than the 30 series. In fact, it uses a lot less power while delivering up to 3 times the performance of the RTX 3080 and 2 times the performance of the 3090 Ti. Of course, Nvidia is pushing its DLSS3 tech here, which is already quite impressive. I got my first taste of DLSS3 when I reviewed the RTX 4080 and the 4090. In short, DLSS3 offers up to 4 times the performance across games with and without ray tracing enabled. For example, my test on Portal with RTX showed a 3.9 times improvement with the settings enabled. The same goes for other titles like Cyberpunk 2077, Warhammer 40,000 Darktide, and A Plague Tale Requiem. All these games showcase DLSS3 with over double the performance boost. Here are some tests I ran using the RTX 4070 Ti. I've also compared the results to the RTX 4080 and the 4090, so you can see just where this card falls into place with regards to performance. I also did some tests on games which got DLSS3 support after the 4080 and 4090 reviews went up. The results you see now are for the RTX 4070 Ti only. I also ran them on 4K just to show how well they performed at the best resolution. Of course, you can expect even more performance at 1440p. The only downside to DLSS3 is the lack of software at the time. There's only a handful of games that support the tech, but going into the year ahead, more titles will get updates to enable the feature. DLSS3 is also backwards compatible, so the 40 series cards, just like the 4070 Ti, will benefit from older enhancements on current games. Sure, the performance boost won't be as dramatic as DLSS3, but the 4070 Ti is already quite a heavy card, so expect some massive jumps across certain games. Where the RTX 4070 Ti shines is in 1440p gaming. You'll easily get over 120Hz on almost every title while maxing out all the settings and using ray tracing too. If you're aiming for 4K gaming, this card is more than capable of that too. Some games easily reach 4K with most settings maxed out, while others I tested had to be slightly tweaked here and there to stay at 60Hz. Whatever your poison, this card is incredibly versatile. Testing games without DLSS3 support also showed some great results. While the performance boosts aren't as notable as DLSS3, most games easily managed 60fps at 1440p, while others did 4K at 60fps. When it comes to the temperature and fan noise, the Gigabyte RTX 4070 Ti gaming OC GPU handles its load quite well. When sitting idle for 5 minutes, the card stuck at around 35 degrees Celsius without any fans moving at all. When running non-stop gaming tests, the temperature then rose to a max of 71 degrees Celsius and the fans hit a max of 1507 RPM. I also tested the noise from the fans at 35 decibels. As for the overall power consumption, this GPU model sat idle at 12 watts. Video playback then went up to 19 watts. Average gaming used 230 watts and it maxed out to 285 watt TGP. To put this into perspective, its closest competitor, the RTX 4090 Ti, uses around 400 watts of average power when gaming. It also has a max TGP of 450 watts. Nvidia's focus on energy efficiency shines on this GPU. Now that I've tested all 3 available 40 series cards, I do enjoy where this 4070 Ti falls in. Personally, it seems like the GPU you might actually consider buying thanks to its versatility and cheaper price tag. Not to mention its slightly smaller form factor fits perfectly in my case. When comparing it to the RTX 4080, the 4070 Ti is slower but not incapable of outputting some great benchmarks. Nvidia aims for this to be the 1440p 120Hz GPU, but you can see from the test that it easily gets to 4K 60Hz. When you start looking at 1440p, you can then easily max games out at over 120Hz. The RTX 4070 Ti also aims to release at around 20,000 Rand or $799. This is substantially lower than the 4080, which is retailing for 35,000 Rand or $1,200. This price range also undercuts AMD's new RX 7900 XT series. In fact, this is Nvidia's first 40 series card to target an affordable price point, which is great to see. Given the drastic price difference between the 4070 Ti and the 4080, this might be the card you actually end up getting because it's pretty capable. Nvidia has packed this card with the best enhancements on the market, and going into the year, it is going to get quite exciting to see more DLSS3 games released. So those are my thoughts on the new 4070 Ti, in particular the Gigabyte RTX 4070 Ti gaming OC model. Are you looking to pick the GPU up? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, if you have any questions, post them down below and I'll try to get to them as soon as possible. As always, thanks for watching and please do consider liking and subscribing for more content like this going forward. Also visit www.glitch.online for more gaming and tech news and reviews. Until next time, farewell.